Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Yeah! Welcome to another episode of Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view. We've got a great show today. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about Supreme Court Justice Breyer is retiring. He'll be leaving probably June or July, which will be the end of this session for the Supreme Court. We'll talk about possible picks that Biden will bring up. And then we'll talk about Biden's son of a bitch comment that he made at a press conference a few days ago of a Fox person at that press conference. We'll talk about a few other hot topics. Also, I wanted to say former WKRP star Howard Hessman has passed away at the age of 81. My name is Arthur Carlson. If you watch the show, he was the manager of the station, and his mother, Mrs. Carlson, owned the station. Arthur Carlson, played by Gordon Jump, who passed away several years ago. So there have been several members of WKRP that have passed away over the years. Frank Bonner, he passed away last year. And then we had Gordon Jump. Mr. Carlson passed away several years ago. And then if you go to the new WKRP, we lost Tawny Kitane, who passed away last year. Then Nicoletti Williamson, who played the new program director on that show, he passed away several years ago. So let's get this show underway. Let's bring in my co-host all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma. Let's welcome the effervescent Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hello, Art. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
So yeah. Good news is I put off, because I've had the COVID. Judy has too, and we put off. We had home test kits, and last night after I got off your show, Judy says, "I want to get this over with," so I did the test, and we both came back negative. So that's good. So feeling much better. We're both going to survive right now with the way this crazy weather is. Global warming, the new ice age, whatever the hell it is, it keeps changing. We got stuff turning green in January that's not supposed to turn green until March or April, so yeah, sinuses and stuff now. So that's living in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's known for having some of the worst allergies around, because we were the Dust Bowl back in the 30s, but in order to counteract that, they started putting in lots of lakes, man-made lakes, and the navigation systems, and then they added all sorts of topsoil rebuilding, trees, and so this area is called green country for a reason. I mean, we do not generally now they'll irrigate on some of the bigger farms like the sod farms and stuff, but for the most but we don't water our lawn. I very seldom see anybody in Muskogee watering their lawn.
Oh,
because you don't need to. The between the humidity and the temperatures, and the rainfall we have here, we don't ever have to.
Right.
So, but that also creates a lot of pollen and ragweed and mold spore and all of that crap. And so, if you live in Oklahoma, you're used to allergies. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. But I'm clear of the COVID, and so is Judy. So, and as Chris Wedgeworth said, now I've got the good antibodies.
All right, that's great. Hey, let's bring in the triumvirate of this group, our good Orangeman, all the way from Syracuse, New York. Let's welcome Mike Roach. Welcome, welcome, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Good to see you, Lloyd. I hope I can hear in your voice there and your cough. That sounds pretty tough, but you seem to be hanging in there.
This is my morning. I haven't haven't had enough coffee. I haven't cleared out my lungs enough. I haven't had enough cigarettes. Whatever, it's just. The doctors, when I was a kid, they used to be on TV all the time telling you how good it was for your lungs to smoke a cigarette. It helped the digestion. If you smoke, you don't fart. I don't know, some kind of crap on TV. And I believed it. So I haven't had enough today.
Right.
But I am 100% better than I was last week or week before. Week before, I was dying. I just knew I was.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know. I've been kind of on radio silence almost on YouTube lately. I just haven't been on anything, watching here and there, but
right,
going waves. But in terms of global warming and all that stuff, Lloyd, let me tell you, it's like 12 degrees here right now, and
I know we were
snow out there.
Yeah, well, 3 or 4 days ago, we were like down at 9 degrees, and or 8 degrees, and now we're I think we're close to 60 or almost above. Well, when I got up, it was 59 degrees, and that's usually if it's a warm winter, that's a high for us. And here we are; we're not even through the day yet. So yeah. Global warming, global cooling. I don't know what it is. It's just too many politicians talking, and it's heating up the air. That's what I think it is.
Right.
All that hot air.
That's what's causing all of this climate change, all that hot air from DC and oh boy,
in London and Paris and.
Yep. All right. Speaking of DC, we've got a Supreme Court justice retiring at the end of the session. Justice Breyer is retiring, and he was appointed to the court by Bill Clinton back in '94.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was talking to my cousin, who is also conservative. We talk politics a lot, and I hadn't paid attention to Breyer. He's just not one that popped into my head of like, oh, he's still alive. He's a justice. What's he done lately? I was like,
I like his ice cream though.
Yeah, his ice cream's good. Yeah. That's about all that I know about. But so I thought, I went ahead and looked and saw what the balance of the Supreme Court was, and I thought, well, it doesn't really matter as far as our points of view go, because he was a liberal anyways. We've got a 6-3 split right now.
Yep.
Well, depending on what.
Roberts and Gorsuch might.
Yeah. They're depending on what they want, but I'm actually writing the president right now because I'm putting myself up as a nominee for the Supreme Court, because I wanted to let him know that even though I'm a white male, I identify as a black female, so I should qualify.
Right, you could be head of the NAACP. As a matter of fact.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if these liberals want to go that route, I identify as blah blah blah.
Well, as a matter of fact, there was, I guess, there was a gal out of Washington who a white gal who identified as a black person who worked for, I guess, the chapter up in Washington.
Right. She turned out to be. She passed as black, but she was really white and
yeah, she passed as a what's called
her parents
what they used to,
outed her.
Yeah, her parents outed her. She's not black. Yeah, that was several years ago, and she had pulled that. She'd gone through college using that as an excuse, because back in the days of racism and all of that stuff, the blacks used to call people like that high whites. They were black people that were very light. Light creamy skin, and they themselves called them high whites. That was something that if you had that, you could get a job, because a lot of blacks back in the days, back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, even the 60s, those that had that skin coloration, that light mocha color, they could get the better jobs because they could push themselves off as white. They were blacks that identified as whites. So why not a white identifying as a black? I just think that was, and so there again, with this new identity crap going on out of Washington and
Well,
California and New York.
I identify as the center for the Denver Nuggets.
Oh, there you go. Actually, yeah. I mean, why not? You know, you identify as being taller than Shaquille O'Neal.
Right. Right. It's funny, Lloyd, when you mentioned the balance of the court and the fact that is it Breyer that's retiring?
Yeah,
yeah, and he was a Clinton appointee, liberal, obviously, but someone on the left from the '90s is way different than someone on the left.
Someone on the left from the exactly.
And Biden, for whatever reason, is on a mission to do it has to be a black female, which in and of itself doesn't matter.
Racist.
But I mean, it's incidental. But in terms of how left they are, they're going to be the people that I've seen little glimpses of are way out in left field. I mean, they're crazy, So it'll be the same balance in terms of the votes, but the way that person is going to look at things is going to be from an extremist point of view.
Oh yeah, because like you said, the liberal point of view today, the liberals of the '90s would be considered centrist now.
Right.
I mean,
one of the picks, the front runner right now is Ketanji Brown Jackson, and she is what district is she out of? Oh, she's a DC Circuit Court of Appeals. So she's one of the front runners, and the other one that I saw, her name was Leandra Kruger, Associate Justice of the California Supreme Court, and another name is Leslie Abrams Gardner from the Georgia's District Court, or Karen Bass of California, and who knows? How about Val Demings of Florida? She's a radical leftist.
Right. Well, if you want to get a really nice left-wing whack job, you have to make sure they have a hyphenated last name.
Right. Absolutely. They got to have
hyphenating to go with highfalutin.
Right. But it's the crazy show in Washington. That's for sure.
Now, I think if the Republicans want to avoid any blowback or anything that'll hurt them in the 22 elections, is get a couple of, like Susan Collins or Murkowski to vote for her in the Senate, and then she'll just Kamala Harris can't be the tie-breaking vote.
Yeah, and here's something. I heard this floated around for months, and I'm sure you guys have too. That would actually be the perfect solution to Biden's problem with camel toe right now, and that's the fact: select her for the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
because to be honest with you, I think the Republicans would rather see her on the Supreme Court as a liberal justice, because it's not going to change the balance, and obviously she doesn't have the brains to make a good decision anyway. So what difference does it make? I'd rather have her as a Supreme Court justice than I would as the President of the United States, should the old man die.
Here's the problem, Lloyd, with that. She likes to think on her knees, and that's how she could influence.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, that's true too. But I think that would be there, and everybody made a big stink about when he come out and said that it has to be a black, or it has to be a female
black
a woman
female.
of color. Did he say female or did he say woman? I can't remember now. Either way, it was
Let me
obviously anti-gay.
read back the tape here. I think he said woman.
Woman, a
That's you,
woman of
Lloyd.
There you go. See, right there, it tells you that he's obviously anti-identity. So he's it's just terrible that the leader of the free world is anti-identity. But anyways,
it's
new
funny.
news.
It's hard to refer to him as the leader of the free world, isn't it?
I know.
He can't.
Yeah,
he
he's
couldn't
not.
lead
Yeah,
a dog down the street.
that's it. And that's it's. But I think if they put Harris, that would solve the Democrats' problems. And I won't be surprised if her name's not on the short list.
Right.
I don't think it is. I've been looking at people on the short list, and she's not on it. I think there'd be too much blowback because her poll numbers are lower than Biden, and I think putting her even in consideration would just be a mess. More of a mess, probably for the Democrats.
Well, they've
be
already
get
got
rid of her though.
That's my thinking is that that they do it to get rid of her because she's useless as an exec in the executive office. I mean, she's absolutely useless. She doesn't know how to do her job. She doesn't know who to blow, who to go to. She doesn't know what she's doing, and she damn sure doesn't need I don't think the Democrats even want her to take over. Should Biden become incapacitated?
Right.
Make her a Supreme Court justice. Get her out of there. They're probably going to lose control of the Senate in 9 months, anyways. Or 10 months. In 10 months, they're going to lose control of that one vote they've got, anyways. They know that. They don't want her running in 2024 because she's not qualified. They damn sure don't want her running in 28 should the idiot get reelected. God forbid. And when I say idiot, I am referring to Biden, in case anybody was thinking. Well, nobody in this crowd would be thinking something different, but that would. And I think a lot of people are keeping their mouth shut about who's on the short list as far as what they're concerned, because I suspect this may be a brokered deal.
Right.
The future will
there's
see.
A lot of behind the scenes stuff going on with them.
Oh yeah,
but it would be for them the perfect thing to get rid of her and replace her, appoint someone in her place, someone who's a little more palpable and to have any chance in the next presidential election for anything. Because right now she's just a dope, and she's everybody knows it.
Mason says Harris couldn't even work a street corner. You're right. Chris Wedgeworth, you're right. What's wrong with the most qualified?
When she ran for president, she couldn't get any delegates from her own state.
Yeah.
And she was like the first one to drop out.
Right.
She was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now this whole identity politics stuff is just it's sick. It's racism. It's essentially a Jim Crow thing in and of itself. So it's
and do you know who Jim Crow is? He was actually a cartoon character, and he was a character. There was no person called Jim Crow. It was a caricature of blacks, a cartoon caricature of blacks, the way they looked back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, that time period when all this was going on. And at that time, it's after Reconstruction, when the blacks were finally given the right to vote under the 18th Amendment.
Be the 14th.
No, not the 14th, because the 14th was they were given their right, they were given their freedoms,
right.
but the equal rights. Well, yeah. Where's my
Constitution?
Yeah,
because the 13th Amendment
was
made them free.
13th, maybe it's a 15th Amendment.
Yeah, well, you're right. Because
15th.
The 17th Amendment was the one to change the Senate went from being selected by the states.
That's right. That's right.
A general election. 18th Amendment was the Volstead Act, which was prohibition.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I knew that. I knew the 18th Amendment was important for something. That's when my family started making money as bootleggers or moonshiners. They weren't bootleggers; they were moonshiners. But
the history guy just had a video a couple days ago about rum runners, and that's how I knew about prohibition.
Yeah. I used to remember that one for some reason. I think it's because my dad talked about when they would run moonshine when my grandfather didn't believe in dancing. He didn't believe in parties, but he believed in moonshine. Go figure.
That's cool.
So he was a Jack Quaker?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like actually, Jack Mormons.
Yeah, well, the thing is our family is the Mendenhalls are Quakers, except for my branch. They left the Fellowship of Quakers. They left the Brethrens, and we've been poor ever since. All the Quaker Mendenhalls have still got all their money. Go figure. Richard Nixon was a Mendenhall Quaker. So,
well, we were in the liquor business too, Lloyd. My dad was a barkeep, you know. He had his own place and all that. And so booze was our bread and butter too.
Booze was booze was something our family, my dad, my brother, and I enjoyed quite regularly. And unfortunately, we all three had a problem with. We didn't have a problem with drinking. We had a problem with stopping. So, but you know that's. But yeah, my dad, my grandfather, my uncles, they all used to. And they used to run moonshine out of Missouri and Arkansas. So, but regular hillbillies.
All righty, let's go on to our next topic of Biden's when he gave that press conference a few days ago where he called Ducey a son of a bitch because he dared to ask him an
intellectual question
about the economy instead of talking about the Ukraine.
Yeah. Well, Biden, that was either a planned thing, you know. So much of what they do with him is like, you know, say something, say this, it'll make you sound strong, or it'll make you sound whatever, hip, relate to young people. Or he was just thinking out loud because he, you know, with his dementia, the veneer is off, and he like his inner monologue just comes out, you know, like Austin Powers style. You know?
When you know, one of the most famous things that was ever said by President Biden was when he was vice president, and he leans over and says, "This is a big effing deal." You know, talking about when they were signing the Healthcare Act. This is really a big effing deal, except he didn't say effing. You know, and it was on the mic. You know, so he's got a foul mouth. You know, but had Trump said that, you know, that they would have been having another impeachment hearing.
They would have been all over him.
They would have been, yeah. And I think Peter Ducey, is that his name?
No, I think it was his son. I think it's
Steve Ducey.
Yeah.
Which one is the
don't
father?
Get him confused with the governor of Arizona.
No, it was. Let's see.
I thought it was Peter Ducey was the.
I think it was Peter. Peter was.
Oh, Peter Ducey. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, Peter Ducey. Yeah, and he just laughed it off. I mean, he handled it properly. He didn't get irate. He just, because he was smiling when he goes out because he's thinking, I got a great soundbite. That's going to be replayed over and over and over. And it wasn't Donald Trump that said it.
Right.
So
that was like a badge of honor.
It is a badge.
Yeah, exactly. He called son of a bitch by Joe Biden. Who wouldn't? It was like, yeah. And I mean, Joe Biden's so out of touch. He thinks that "Let's Go Brandon" is a cheer for him.
Right.
Yeah.
There's even videos out there of him saying, somebody said, "Let's go, Brian." That soldier he was interviewing, he goes, "Let's go, Brandon." And he goes, "Yeah." Like,
and then
friggin' idiot.
Then they start investigating that soldier for something.
Yeah.
Calling that sort of a micro terrorist attack or something like that.
I know.
Yeah.
They're just, if you're going to be in politics, you can't have a thin skin. That's just what it comes down to. And
the scary part is though that they have fully weaponized the FBI right now.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, and the IRS and
the IRS and
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, any what is it? Deposits or withdrawals over
$600
are going to be reported.
They're going to be looking at me every month because I pull my cash out every month, and it's definitely over $600 because that's the way I do my bills.
Yep.
Did that actually pass yet? That $600?
Well, that was part of the stimulus.
That was part of
where they hired all those.
Yeah, it's
IRS
supposed to take effect.
Yeah.
It's supposed to take effect. I think February 1st, the end of January.
Yeah.
So it's in effect, and they'll start. It's going to go to the Supreme Court, and it's going to be thrown out. It's just. I mean, it's like New York right now has been changing some of their gun laws ahead of, or trying to change some of them ahead of what they feel the arguments were on this concealed carry law that is up in front of the Supreme Court, because I think they felt that they really lost the argument. And so, because under New York statutes, you have to show that you are in actual fear of your life before you can get a concealed carry, and they felt that was a step over, stepping on the Second Amendment. So now they're changing some of the rules in concealed carry in hopes of mitigating any damages done by that Supreme Court decision that they see is possibly coming.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know if you knew about that, Mike, or
in New York, like in our county here, it's sort of a purple county, and but if you get the right judge who's looking at your application to conceal carry, then you're fine. You can get one pretty easily. But we've also had judges where hardly anybody could get a pistol for a while.
Well, I think that's why this Supreme Court hearing, they've already had it. They've already done their oral and written arguments in front of the Supreme Court, and they're expecting a decision any time in the next few weeks. And it looks like it's probably going to go for the people and against the state of New York. That's why, because see, in Oklahoma, judges don't issue. The state of Oklahoma issues our concealed carry.
Right.
And of course, we're an open carry state now, but I still have a concealed carry. And it's when you make the application, it actually is sent to the Oklahoma State Bureau, OSBI, Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, and they do all the background checks and stuff. We have to go down and be fingerprinted at our local sheriff's office, and then they send it. They send it off, and you pay the sheriff, I don't know, $10 or something like that, or $25 to be fingerprinted, and then once that's done, then you just go online and renew it every 5 years. I only renew it so I can go to other states that recognize our concealed carry. That way I'm not running into any complications. But in Oklahoma, we're open carry. But yeah, so the judges have been taken out of it. It's controlled by our chief law enforcement division, which is our OSBI. They're the ones who they follow the procedure that's been set out by the legislative branch of what they've got to do. So that's why New York has a problem, because they're letting the judges decide who gets to have a concealed carry, and that's against the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I see that changing. Well, New York's already starting to change how they handle it. They've been doing some stuff in the background. So I just heard this on one of the channels that I follow, because I follow gun stuff too. So we can't forget about that kind of stuff when we're talking politics.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, and if on YouTube, you can't be a gun channel anymore. I mean, there's very few of them that are left. There's a handful. And,
yeah. There's probably there's more out there than what you think. It's just because when the one gentleman had his 50 caliber blow up in his face, he was using what's called slap rounds, and he apparently, they were supposed to have been military rounds that were out of issue, and apparently he didn't realize they'd been altered, and somebody loaded it with an extra hot shot, and it blew up. It blew up the barrel, and it cut his jugular. And if you see anybody that has a t-shirt with a thumb, that's because he grabbed his t-shirt, wrapped it up, and stuck his thumb in that jugular, and then his dad drove him to the hospital, and that's how he survived.
Wow.
Oh boy.
He used his thumb to block the bleeding. Yeah. And but they were like, for 2 months or 3 months, he couldn't do any videos. So every other gun channel came on and did similar videos in his style, and they put it up on his, and there were like 30 of them, that came in and did videos for him. So there's at least 30 gun channels that came in and did this, and this just happened this last year. So,
well, the ones that I've been following are militaries or surplus guns. Right. There's this one channel. He gets like a bunch of them that come in, and he'll do a show, and he goes, "Yeah, I just got a bunch of these Makarovs, and most of them were from police departments, and and they looked like they were in really good shape. There, some of them had the bluing was rubbed off because they were holstered, and some of them looked just like pristine almost.
Yeah.
And then if you go to this website to see how much they're all sold out.
Yeah,
that's how fast they sell.
I know.
Well, guns are a hot commodity right now. I mean, Biden's the best thing that ever happened to gun sales.
Oh, so was Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, Obama was pretty good on gun sales too. But I
it's
got
pathetic. And the laws here, you guys are, well, Denver's gone pretty blue as well, but Colorado's getting bluer. But New York, I mean, we're so far blue, it's crazy. And everyone who's a red thinker is leaving and going down to Florida or Tennessee or wherever.
Oh, same here in Colorado. People are leaving Colorado. California, boy, people are moving that state out of that state like crazy. And
it would be nice,
like Texas or Florida.
And unfortunately, they're bringing their politics with them.
Yeah, that's the
look at what's been going on with Texas. Has been fighting those kind of people, because they're coming in.
They're all moving to Austin.
Yeah, well, we already knew Austin was,
well, it's a college town and it's capital.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's, and Kelly Shore lives there, so he's if for one of the first times we had a big conversation, he and I had a great conversation. He admitted he was a snowflake. So, but he's my favorite snowflake. I'll tell you that right now. Kelly is.
Well, how about James Tanner?
Oh, James Tanner. Yeah, he's a hippie.
He's our favorite hippie.
I don't qualify him as a snowflake necessarily. I qualify him as a hippie. He's just a leftover from that time period.
I don't know, Lloyd. Neil Young's told YouTube that it's either you or him.
Okay. Well, he told that to Spotify. Yeah, right. We were going to talk about that, weren't we, Art?
Right.
So he got himself canceled.
Right.
Got himself canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Spotify I heard Joni Mitchell. She left, and who else? Barbara Streisand, I think.
Well, there you go. There's three people that I don't listen to. I don't miss. I won't miss. Wow,
YouTube really those things really improved. Getting rid of those people. I mean, but the problem is nobody's going to notice they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was Spotify, the online audio, the online record station. Yeah. Broadcast. That's it. Podcasting stuff. Yeah. Spotify is the one that he threw the hissy fit with. They're not going to get rid of Joe Rogan because he's bringing in too much. Right. He's bringing in too much revenue. Neil Young he
just signed $100 million contract with them.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Hello, Fly Zone.
Hey,
Fly
Michael.
Zone Drones.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, Fly Zone.
All the way from Elgin, Illinois, the home of Elgin Mental Institution. I know that because
I was going to say,
my
how do you know
family, my folks are from Aurora, Illinois.
Oh,
which is downstream or upstream from Elgin, because that's on the Fox River, and they had they may still have the mental institution there.
Sounds like you know an awful lot about this mental institution.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. There's a, believe it or not, there's a mental institution in Las Vegas. Not Las Vegas, Nevada, Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And there's signs as you head into the, because it's out in the middle of nowhere. Well, anywhere in New Mexico is out in the middle of nowhere, but there's signs as you head into the town that says, do not pick up any hitchhikers. They may be escaped mental patients. They actually had those signs on the highway. So, and they still down by McAllister, where our state prison is at, one of our state prisons. They actually, around all of them, they have signs or do not pick up hitchhikers, maybe escaped convicts. So.
Well, the state hospital here in Colorado is in Pueblo.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in Pueblo, it's not just a state hospital; it's also where they have a lot of the rehab centers for, like the School of the Blind and stuff like that. Because kid that I grew up with, he had twin brothers, and one of them was blind and the other one was perfectly fine. And we actually had the blind kid driving the tractor for us while we were bucking hay. He was driving in the field. He wasn't driving in the, so it was one of them old Ford Co tractors, one of them Canadian Ford tractors, and it would stay in the ruts, and all he had to do was kind of just keep it going. And then as he'd get at the end, we'd say, turn left, turn left, turn left, turn left, turn right, turn right. And he'd get that trailer pulled around, straightened back out. They came out and took pictures of it put it in the newspaper. But yeah. But he was home for summer vacation from the School of the Blind there out of Pueblo. That's where he went during the school year. So they have a Colorado rehabilitation school down there in Pueblo as well. Part of that whole complex, or what used to be that whole complex. They may have changed it now.
Oh, that's one I've never heard before. A blind guy driving a farm tractor. That's
we thought
pretty wild.
We needed an extra. We were getting paid by the bale, so the more bales we could get in a day, the more money we could make, and we had, we had 2 days to do all of this, and we were going to get a bonus if we got it done in 2 days, and we did, but unfortunately, I ended up with a fractured ankle, and another kid ended up with broke ribs because the we actually thought we'd run over him with a tractor, but it turned out we were taking him to the weigh station, and on the way there we had overstacked the trailer, and I was sitting up on the very front leading edge, and he was sitting down on the Y on the tongue on 2 bales. Well, we hit a bump. He fell off, and he was just he was about 12 years old. He was a younger brother of somebody. He fell off. The bale went under the tractor. Well, he fell off and rolled out onto the road, but the bale went under the tractor, and we kind of did like that, and we thought we'd run over him.
Right.
But when we did that, the leading edge where I was sitting up on top, and it was like eight layers of, and these were big bales. These were 100-pound bales. There's 8 layers of these bales, and I'm sitting up on the front edge. Well, when it did that, they start rocking, and all of a sudden they fall. I drop, my foot comes across that A-frame, and I go, bales just kept bouncing off of.
Oh.
So I end up, we go to the hospital, and I said, you need to be checked out. I said, no, we got to get this done. We got the kid, called his parents, come pick up the kid. He's okay. We ran over the bale. We didn't run over the kid. We thought we had. He was skinned up, but, so that was the worst time I ever bucked bales. But the blind kid was great at driving in the field. He really was. So, like I said, somebody heard about it, and they called the newspaper. The newspaper come out and took pictures of him, snapping pictures as he was driving down there. Yeah, we had a blind kid for our field driver. So.
Alrighty, so let's go. Let's see. Oh, here's something, and it's right in Mike's neighborhood.
Tree wire,
and it's a pretty big deal. They're flying in illegals into Westchester Airport in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're flying them all over the country, really.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that they're sending them to New York State because it's already left-wing nut job area. I know they've been doing it.
Yes, they are. You're right.
Sending people to Florida, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Florida, of course, will start fighting it. But yeah, at our expense to take these lone male illegals, put them on privately chartered jets, and send them up to whatever state.
It's kids that they're sending.
Huh?
Children.
Oh, children.
Unaccompanied minors.
Right. The 24
not talking about the kind that dig for gold, but yeah.
Well, the ones that I saw, they said those were all single adult males.
Yeah.
The one with the body cam, they're saying those were all single adult males, not unaccompanied minor children.
Right.
Okay. So
they'll call them that.
Yeah, they call them that to, but from what I saw of the video, the guy that had the body cam, those were all single adult males.
Yeah.
So
I just saw that, and so now I wonder if they flew them into Centennial Airport, because that airport will take 737s and maybe 727s.
Yeah.
Same with Front Range Airport, which is like not far from where I live. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There, and that's the thing. It's I just can't believe. I can. This has been going on because, and no offense to any of them, but remember back in the 70s, they were bringing in all of the Vietnamese
boat people.
Yeah, boat people, and the Now, mind you, they were trying to get out of it. There again, another friggin' war that we lost unnecessarily,
right?
Because we allowed the politicians to run the damn thing. Actually, that was a war we shouldn't, as McNamara's war, we shouldn't have been in that war in the first place,
right.
But again, bailing out the French, as we do so often.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why their Navy has glass bottom boats. So they could see their last Navy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Mason Kaiser makes a good point there. A lot of the churches, including the Catholic Church, unfortunately, is big into this, because nobody goes there anymore, and so they want butts in the seat, and these people aren't going to be going to.
They had the largest.
The Pope.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. When it was John Paul II, the Catholic Church had the largest, especially the last 5 years he was alive, 5 or 10 years. They had the largest influx of converts in that Catholicism. Their numbers were up there because they lost so many under the pedophile scandal. But then John Paul II was clearing that out, and they'd gotten that cleared out. He was really an ambassador to the Catholic Church, and they had the biggest influx of converts,
including young people. Church. A lot of young people came in. You really appealed with like the teens and 20s age groups and stuff. But
hold on just a second, guys. I got somebody here that's decided they needed to call me. So
okay, we'll bump you out. Alrighty, so now it's the two of us.
Unfortunately, the churches and the social, the nonprofits and whoever that are all in bed with this, in cahoots with this whole bringing illegals in, because they're all just about perpetuating their own purpose for existing. Those places.
Well, and plus more Democrat voters,
right?
And they're moving them into the red states, like Florida and Texas,
right?
Arizona.
And in New York City now they're talking about letting illegals vote. In actual elections. It's like this is insane. But New York. I live here. I love it. It's home, but it's I don't get it. I just don't get the thinking. But in New York City is a different world than the rest of the state. But even the rest of the state is disappointing, I got to say.
And sadly, Colorado is following that same path because, back in the 70s and 80s, we had Democrats that had deep pockets. We got Pat Stryker. She inherited her grandfather's orthopedic and hospital medical device company, Stryker Medical. And she's she's from Michigan. Came out here, settled in Fort Collins. She's a real estate mogul. She was one of the big. Well, she was part of the big four that got together to try to turn Colorado into a blue state. And she was with, it was Pat Stryker, Jared Polis, Rhett Bridges, and Tim Gill. And all of them were like uber rich people.
When I had my injury back in the 70s, and my first month of being in the hospital, getting my neck healed up, was on a Stryker frame. It's called a Stryker frame, and it rotates you. It's straight out of the Spanish Inquisition, and it's they put you on there, sandwich you between two cot type things, and it flips you over like a rotisserie hot dog, so that you lay in your back, you lay in your stomach, you lay in your back, and I was on that thing for a month, and every 2 hours it would flip you over. It's crazy. So,
well, Michael, are you done yet? Time to flip you over.
Right. And that was for a month, and then the next month, the second month, because I had some complications. The striker frame, the thing was so narrow that it was digging into my shoulders, the frame. So they got me another one called a circle electric bed. You ever heard of those? They look like a giant mouse wheel, hamster wheel, and there's a cot in it in the middle, and it rotates you around. And I was on that for the second month, and that was pretty wild. You can't even find pictures of them anymore, So.
Man. Yeah, so they got together and they figured a way how to. What they did was they set up a whole bunch. We see you, Lloyd. Come on back in.
Lloyd.
Yeah.
What they did is they set up all these committees, and that's how they got around all the campaign finance stuff. So what they did is they set up a whole bunch of these. What are they? 503, 501c3, 501. All the 501, and that way they could funnel boatloads of money. And then what they would do is they would coordinate and redirect all that money to the candidates of their choice.
Yeah.
And this is where the Republicans screwed up because, it was all individual donations rather than doing what the Democrats did, where they get funnel mass amounts of money and just do the same thing. And for some reason, they didn't do that. So here in Colorado, for state races, you are limited to $400 up till the primary, and then after that, you could give them another $400. So a couple could give $1,600 after the primary.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apologize for that, but that was that was the gentleman who loves to interrupt my show with phone calls. That was none other than Greg from All Is by Drone, and I thought it was just going to be a short interruption, giving me some crap about something I said. Instead, it was a very delightful story, which I will talk about if I can get him to come on tomorrow night on my show. Yeah, on Monday. Yeah, because he works for No. Yeah, it was because he works for No Limit Drones, and this has to do with some customer relations and some customer satisfactions and how well it worked. And it was hilarious. So sorry about that. Besides, Mike needed a chance to talk. With me not in here, he gets a chance to say something.
It's funny, Art, that you mentioned 501c3s. During the 80s, I worked for a 501c3 organization, not for profit. And I think by law, you're not supposed to be political, but they're all political as can be.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like nobody obeys that rule whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the money dealings with it is so crooked. That's why I got out of it, because the way the budget stuff works is just complete fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's not left and right, all different agencies.
Mm-hmm.
But
And it just whenever I hear we've got this bipartisan bill that'll clean up campaign finance, and every time I hear that, I keep thinking Democrats already have an end around for it, because that's why they agreed to it in the first place. Or they're the ones that came up with this and finagled some squishy Republicans to think, but it's fair. It makes it equal for both of us.
Yeah, I don't know about other states, but I know in Oklahoma we have some what they call war chest laws, and they're allowed to, after they even if they lose the election, they're allowed to keep their war chest in order to pay off any debts and or other things and pay staff for as long as they need it. And that war chest money can be, we did have a governor that was a convicted felon. He was convicted while he was governor for misappropriation, and his fine was, or his punishment was, he was put on suspended sentence, and he was allowed to finish out his term, but he was not allowed to keep the war chest. So all of his debts were still standing when he got out of the governorship. So that was his punishment because he'd misappropriated the funds, But once they leave office, they can use that to set up their library, right, or set up some sort of program that, look, here's Governor Blowhard's gubernatorial library, or here's the soup kitchen, like
we call that grifting.
Yeah, well, it's
just a polite way of saying it.
Yeah. And it's but that's the way our laws are set up, that they, at least they were. I think they may have changed them after our governor got after that. And just so you know, he was a Democrat.
Well, you'll see the same guy that'll run for office, either for Congress or state races, every 2 years. You see the same guy, and it's like,
because
it's, you know what, especially libertarian, because I see the same names every 2 years on the ballot, and it's like, oh wow, it's like Hans is running again. Oh, he's running for state senate this time.
Yeah.
So I think these guys, what they do is they get all that money in, and they'll fake. They'll have a few flyers go out, and then they'll keep the rest of the money, and that's how they pay themselves and their families.
Yeah, and that's done a lot here too. I mean, we have one guy that he's been a congressman, he's been a senator, he's been voted out, he's been voted back in. He's, he goes back and forth every, sometimes he's a senator for 4 years or 6 years. I can't remember what they are here in Oklahoma. A state senator. I think they're 4 years here in Oklahoma, but Congress, it's 4 years for governor, 4 years, or actually, is it 4 years for governor? I'm going to have to look at that. I don't know, because it's different than the federal.
Right.
Oklahoma likes to do. We don't like to have the same people for drag on and on and on. So we try to get them cleaned out every so often. Senators sticking around for.
We had Governor Lamb for 12 years.
Yeah.
And Governor Romer for 12 years, and then right after that, that's when they put in the term limits in, so they can only serve 2 terms.
Yeah, we have term limits in Oklahoma too, so that helps too.
Yeah, we had Cuomo for close to 12 years.
He's been
got the boot there, and and the woman that replaced him, Heckle, she's nuttier than he was, and she's a real wing nut.
So anyway, a few weeks ago, Ed Perlmutter is retiring from Congress, so that opened up the 7th district here in Colorado, and so far, Brittany Pedersen is so far the only Democrat that I know of running for that seat. But however, on the Republican side, we have something like 3 or 4 people running. There's Laurel Eimer. She's been in the race for about a year now. And then we have he's a state rep, Colin Larson. He's in. And then we have Eric Odlin, who was running for Senate. Now he's jumping into the congressional race. And I think there's another guy running for that seat.
Well, I hope all those Republicans realize in that anything they use against another Republican will be used against whoever that nominee is by the Democrats. So, and this is where Republicans do not play it smart. They need to say what they can bring to the office, what their personal, not what the other guy is doing is wrong, but what they, and I think we would, because this is the problem we've had with our federal elections all along. It's like, the Republicans, like they were going to do the repeal and repeal and replace, but they were all ready to do the repeal, but they didn't have anything to replace it with. Instead, they need to have people that have got a plan of action when they get in there. If these friggin' politicians were listening to this show, they might learn something.
Well, here in Colorado, since it is a blue state, is number one, do not mention anything about Donald Trump or fraudulent elections. Stay the hell away from all that stuff. There's another troll.
At least they're Russians. We know where they're coming from.
Yep.
Oh yeah, speaking of the Russians, Biden's giving them the green light pretty much.
Oh yeah.
So whenever you see a troll from Russia, it'll be like a .red or a .vog or some weird something. That's a bot. And what you do is you report them first, and then you block.
I just reported them for hate speech, and I think I'll report them again for pornography.
Yeah, that's what I just did. That for pornography. So I've been hit twice today so far.
All right.
Yeah. Well, last night I got hit several times last night.
I tell you what's been getting my phone is I get at least 4 a day. I had 4 when I woke up this morning. Text messages on my phone, and they're for porn sites, or hookup sites or something,
Okay.
Like, so I have to go through every day about twice a day. I go through and block this contact, and because why can't AT&T or Verizon or any of these other friggin' phone companies stop that crap?
I think they could if they wanted to.
Yeah, they could. And they charge you $3.99 to use their spam blocker, which doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't. The AT&T one, AT&T Mobile, you can't even like any number that I should be able to go on there and bring. You have to actually copy and enter that number. Well, when you get 4 or 5 silence calls a day that are all spam, that's a lot of numbers. You got to type them in individually on a phone. I think the spam blockers are a waste of money, but I have it, but it still pisses me off.
Plus, they just generate random phone numbers.
Yeah,
anyway. They're not real phone numbers.
Yeah. I've got.
Now they're doing it with these little bots for YouTube, and
and they do it on your
a channel that is like creating a lot of content, especially when you have a live broadcast. Even if you do a premiere, they'll pop in there.
Yep. Oh yeah. It's getting ridiculous, and it's just like it's so frustrating that, and they could stop all this if they wanted to. I got. Let's see, where did I get? I got some very unique ones. I got one. I got a phone call from Egypt and a phone call from Greece the other day.
Oh,
yeah. So that was interesting. I've got several from Rome. I've got a couple from France. I got 3 from Russia in one day.
Oh yeah, your loan is approved. Yeah, mine. I get the ones for call now, and you'll get your student loan paid off.
Yeah.
Don't they realize that I'm still waiting to get my penis extended?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember that? That was a big one for a long time.
Right.
That explains the hat you're wearing.
Right. I'm going to the hood.
Yeah. In these and in these days of identity thing, no, I do not want a boob job. Sorry, I don't care what people think they identify as. I don't need a boob job, so quit sending me that stuff, I go through my emails, it's like stay hard longer. If I stayed hard longer, I'd probably have a friggin' heart attack at my age. I don't need that, Jesus. It's just like, what the hell is wrong with these,
Yeah.
Well,
I want to know who the idiots are to click on it.
We've done a little over an hour, and we covered a lot of stuff today.
A lot of ground.
And I want to thank you guys as always. So let's go around the horn. Let's start with you, Mike. Any last words?
Okay. No, just good to be back on, Art. I appreciate you sending me the link, the StreamYards. I'm not always here. I apologize for that. But yeah, just going to spend the rest of the day. I will watch football today. I've caved in. I'm finally watching the last few games. Yeah, in terms of the political stuff, I've been trying to just check out a little bit for a while. It gets too much after a while, but I keep up enough to see how, with the Supreme Court thing, God knows what's going to happen there. We're going to get a left-wing nut job in there.
Oh yeah.
Either way,
but you're just trading seats. It's not going to change the makeup.
Right. Yeah. It's not going to change the makeup.
No biggie.
Yeah.
Right. But it's I'm like you guys, probably counting the days till the next election and hoping to flip the House and the Senate. For what it's worth, the Republicans have to stop being so disappointing.
Yep.
That's true. They got to have a plan. They got to have a plan. You've got to actually do something.
Biden always says, "What are they for? What are they for?" And it's like, well, we're for a lot of things, like energy independence, low taxes, and less regulations. That might help the economy there.
Right. In 1 year's time, Biden has done so much damage. I mean, a lot of the chickens have already come back to roost with the stuff that he's done. It's only been a year. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right,
30
Lloyd,
cents a gallon.
Any last words?
Yeah, what I always say, be kind. Yeah, be kind, treat each other better than you treat yourselves. Remember, everybody matters, even old farts like all of us. And God bless and God help the USA, folks.
Amen.
All right, guys. Everybody in the chat, thank you for coming, and we'll see you all next week. Take care and God bless.
Okay, bye, everybody.